Welcome back to this week's Car-Pinionated, where we talk about cars, the car industry, and driving in general. And we might get a little bit opinionated, which is the name of the show, right? Heaven
What?
forbid. Clutch pearls.
Stained glass clutch pearls, you're kidding.
um, so this week, well, let me start back. Uh, Toyota has made the current issue 4Runner since 2010. It's a long, long time. And they have made a lot of money off of it. Good for them. It's a very popular vehicle. Uh, so as part of a series of vehicles that Toyota has introduced last month and brought out and let journalists drive, they have shown off their new 4Runner, which is not a huge departure design-wise from any other, 4Runner, has picked up a lot of the same cues. And Jeff, I'm wondering what you think of the new 4Runner design.
I mean, I think it looks like a Tacoma with a wagon on the back. And I think that's what Toyota has decided people want, and so they're going to give it to them. I think it looks pretty good for being what it is. As I think about the outgoing generation of 4Runner, all I can think of is that one GIF of that actor from Titanic. It's been 84 years. It's just they've made it for so long, and people are still buying them because they last forever, literally, right. Probably forever. They're super versatile, and they are still pretty stylish. They're pretty much what's advertised on the tin, right?
Yeah.
The issue I think Toyota is going to have, and they're probably smarter about this than me, is the potential overlap with the new US Land Cruiser,
Right.
which, like the Tacoma, like the Tundra, are all on and like the Lexus, is it the TX? I can't, oh no, the GX. The
GX, I
GX, I'm
believe.
sorry.
Yeah.
The TX, I think, is the Grand Highlander,
Right.
are all on the same TNGA-F platform, I think it's called. So they're all pretty much the same underneath, with some changes based on what the vehicles are designed to do. That's going to be the tricky part, I think, for Toyota. And they've tried to do what they can, I think, differentiate the vehicles, but ultimately, I'm not sure that they're going to avoid having people cross-shop a 4Runner with a Land Cruiser, which the Land Cruiser name is pretty much the first and last word in all-wheel drive capability and durability and reliability, which just knocked Range Rover out of the conversation.
And always like, you're going to take that in the middle of nowhere? Really?
I mean, yeah, Land Cruisers last forever, and that's an attribute of many a Toyota product, given
Right.
proper maintenance and whatnot. Although I think Toyotas do shrug off neglected maintenance a little bit better than a lot of other cars I've seen. But I think they've been smart about sort of keeping the 4Runner anchored in the Tacoma universe. They have maintained some features from the previous 4Runner, like you can still, the rear window, the backlight is still power down and up, which is a feature that a lot of people have liked in the previous 4Runners, so it's back. But the value proposition against something with the storied Land Cruiser name, I think, is kind of yet to be seen.
Yeah. And the way they've stacked the price, the price isn't out yet, but assuming that it's not going to be that far off of the current model, is that they come right up together, right? The Land Cruiser starts at around $55,000, and that's where the 4Runner tops off. And you're right. I mean, because there's no difference in the length is an inch apart. The wheelbase is the same. The height is more or less the same. The ground clearance, all this stuff is the same. And you just, and you're right. I mean, I look at it and say, well, they probably know what they're doing better than I do, you know. Um, and and it's just like, if you want something that has more rugged looks, or you want something that has more refined looks or retro looks, in the case of the Land Cruiser, it is an interesting thing. I mean, I really like the looks of this one. I like the rear window, the side rear window glass
Hmm.
kind of goes into the roof.
That's a
That.
callback. That's a callback to the second or third generation. I can't
Yeah,
remember which one.
yeah. And uh, one of those generations, one of those earliest generations, I rented and drove from here to Cortland, New York, and then down to Virginia Beach, and just loved it. I was like, this is, that's where I
Hmm.
first fell in love with it. But
Yes.
even those first ones, God, I mean, it's the two-door with the
Hmm.
slash. I mean, those were sharp.
Those are
Those were,
great. Yeah, they're great trucks. Absolutely. Somebody, I have to find the picture of it and I'll send it to you. Somebody in my neighborhood actually took a third generation, I think, 4Runner, and hacked the back off of it, welded the doors closed, and essentially made a Hilux out of it. It's hilarious. It's so funny. Um, I'll have to send it to you. It's really funny. But people love them. And you talk about sort of the difference in look, and you're right. I think the 4Runner appeals to a more traditional Toyota SUV buyer. The Land Cruiser is a little bit edgy. That super flat windshield, which it shares with the Lexus GX. And some of the other detail work is very modern and very sort of the moment. And
right.
that may ultimately be where the differentiation comes in. Because, as long as we can borrow money for 7 or 8 or 10 years to buy a car, ultimately, a few $1,000s doesn't make a whole lot of difference in the
Yeah,
month,
yeah,
right? So it's going to come down to those kinds of details. If you find the power back window to be a particular utility to you, and you loved your old 4Runner and this one kind of looks like it, then that's probably what
yeah,
you might get. If you have a 4Runner, but you've always wanted a Land Cruiser and it's now more attainable than ever, then
yeah.
bang, Toyota's got your truck.
Right. And if you're talking about an 8 to 10 year loan, you know that the car is going to work at the end of that. You still have a working vehicle.
And will retain a lot of its value.
Yeah,
That's also true.
yeah. I've talked before about my, you know, thoughts about, and every time I look at one, I remember you talking about it. Did it still have the Ron John surf shop?
Does it come from the factory with that?
Yeah,
Or is
yeah.
that like a group, like a preferred equipment package that one
Right, right,
orders?
right.
Yeah. Well, one thing's
Yeah.
for sure, I don't know that they'll have any trouble selling any of them, regardless of what they
Oh,
are.
yeah, yeah. Let it go. Sure.
Yeah, I
We,
mean, there's certainly been, a great growth in crossover SUVs. Toyota has just brought a new one out with the new larger Grand Highlander. So there's that part of the waterfront is pretty well covered. And it's nice to see them offering up a variety of things, I guess, for people who feel like they need something more rugged or something more
yeah.
outdoorsy or something that communicates that they're outdoorsy.
Right, right. Because how many times it's going to go off on anything more than a dirt driveway.
Right. Yeah. It's like, you can, it's perfectly fine to drive a vehicle that looks like you're about to head out to Moab, right? I
Yeah,
mean, even if you're just going to Neiman's.
right. Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad to see them update the engine, with, I assume it will at some point come. Yeah, I guess it does come with a hybrid at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
I
not
think,
out of the
yeah.
box, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think hybrid max is probably well on the way.
yeah,
Since that seems to be, that's one of the Tacoma's big selling points, at least with this new generation.
yeah, yeah. And and I had read someplace that you know a lot of people are going to be trying to get the last of the V6s. I don't know is that's what you should be doing. I don't know. You know,
It's an interesting question. I have thought a lot about um, the relative durability slash fragility of these boosted smaller engines that car makers are using now, as opposed to a 3.5 liter V6 that can just sort of lazily lope along at 800 RPM all day long and
yeah,
not be the slightest bit stressed. Whereas, you switch to a 2 liter turbo and it's going to rev higher. And I think if anybody can get it right, it's probably Toyota.
sure,
But yeah, I mean, I think that's an open question, and one that we may not know the answer to for a while, at least until everybody's warranties expire, and then it's somebody else's problem, right?
right, yeah. The other interesting thing is the Forerunner. You can have 7 passengers
Mhm,
and or seats for 7,
mhm, mhm.
and the Land Cruiser is only 5.
Right. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and if you want to see something interesting, the Throttle House guys like took one of the Land Cruisers out into the desert, and um, let's say that it didn't end well.
Oh no. Yikes.
Yeah, yeah, they got it back to Toyota, but there was probably a long note that they had
Oh,
to
yeah. Okay.
leave.
All right.
So
Well,
yeah,
that was a lot. That has been a big discourse over the last few months. I think I mentioned it on this podcast actually, about people who were concerned that we're getting the Land Cruiser Light LITE edition,
yeah,
that the
yeah,
we're getting the Prado, which is sort of the smaller, less elaborate Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser Amazon is the sort of the Land Cruiser that everybody grew up with,
right.
grew up knowing about, and I think it's still sold here as a Lexus. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think you're
Um,
right.
and so we're cheaping out. We're getting a cheaper, less capable Land Cruiser. Of course, they're all, as mentioned, they're all built on the same platform. They all have pretty much the same oily bits underneath, and are all, for 99.5% of the driving anybody does anymore, are all supremely capable.
Right, right. And I would honestly put what they did squarely on their shoulders. I think they would admit that. But
Well, that's what happens when you hoon a car out in the middle of nowhere, is sometimes you're the one who gets hooned.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up for this week of Car-Pinionated. If you have a weird car that you like that no one else understands why you like it, uh, send it to me, bstewart@fox61.com. Title it Weird Car. And we won't make fun of it. This is what I decided, that it would be very easy to make fun of these cars, but somebody likes it. And I just think that we should say somebody likes this
Yeah,
car.
and I think Mr. Regular from Regular Car Reviews has made a whole thing out of making fun of people's cars, and that people like what they like, man. We should celebrate all of it.
Yep. There's a piece of my heart for the Ford Flex.
The Ford Flex is amazing. I'm
Yeah.
still bummed out they don't make them.
Well, anyway. All right. We will be back. Glenn will be back at some point. He's off doing comedy things. And we will see you next week.
Good night, Fairfield County, wherever you are.